Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
Hey.
What is up, everybody, and welcome from the Sidelines Live. I'm here with Cody Jackson and Mr. Two Locks, and we have so much happening in the world of the NFL. Let's just go around the horn, guys. How you guys doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be. A lot of moves was made today, but we'll get into it. And yeah, I'm all right though. How's everyone else?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just ready to get into it. Yeah, like you said, a lot of moves, a lot of things are going on right now.
Doing great. Yeah, I've got a bunch of friends that now know that I'm doing the podcast, so I feel like woes or shams, right? Getting the text about, did you see that? Did you see this? Like,
Right.
yeah, man, I got Twitter too. Like I saw it.
Right.
Right.
So if you guys want to join the conversation, you guys can join it in the comment section down below. We'll make sure to try to stop and acknowledge some of your comments while you guys are watching. If you guys have any super subs or anything like that, we'll check it out. But definitely be in the comments and engaging as we talk about these big moves. And the biggest move of them all is going to be the breaking news of the trade. The Steelers and the Seahawks have reached a trade for DK Metcalf, and by Tom Pelissero is that DK Metcalf has signed a 5-year, $150 million deal. Cody, I want you to go ahead and kick us off of your initial thoughts when you hear this trade between these two teams and the contract.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before we got into the show, but yeah, this was shocking to me. So as we talked about last week, this is not exactly what the Steelers do. They're a little bit cheap there, and this is, this is the opposite of that with 5 years, 150. I mean, I guess that's kind of the market now, 30 mil for receivers. I don't know if DK's at that top end to get that kind of money, but I guess it's just how it's going to be. But good move for the Steelers. You pair them with Pickens, but I still think the big question mark for the Steelers is who's going to be throwing these guys the ball. So I think that'll be huge to see where they end up there, because, I mean, it's going to be good to throw the ball Pickens and Metcalf, but you're probably going to want to throw it because they're going to probably complain if you don't throw it to them.
100%. I think it means they're going to go old and cheap at quarterback, right? If they're spending a lot of money up front. I just think it's funny that, going into this weekend, DK's 2 requests were 30 mil a year, check, south with warmer weather. So I don't know, is it time to put in a bet on them building a dome, or what do we got going on here?
Right.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, man. So, okay. Were you done, Jackson? No. Oh, okay, yeah. No, I was just gonna say, man, we all know the Steelers' defense has been decent. It's always a good defense. I like DK Metcalf on the Steelers, man. I love it, actually. Like y'all said, just the quarterback. Now it leaves you wondering who the hell is gonna be the quarterback. Are they gonna get Sam Darnold? Are they gonna rock with Russell Wilson? Justin Fields, I don't see him as a viable option, but it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder.
Well, Mr. Two Lock, since you got the locks in your name, who's your lock for being the Steelers' next quarterback? Who do you think will be this quarterback? And who's the best odds? Let's say who has the best odds right now. One person, and we'll go around the horn.
Okay, let me see. I can look it up really quick, but if I had to give an option, my best guess would be Sam Darnold. I mean, that's probably your best option. Where are you going to find a better quarterback than that right now in the free market? Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers, but brother, you old, brother. So yeah, I like Sam Darnold on the Steelers. If not, Russell Wilson will just have to do. And while y'all talking, I'll see if I can look up the odds as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the big issue there is just that Darnold had a good enough year to demand a decent contract. And if we're talking about how cheap the Steelers are, especially now that they've gone against that trend, it's that frugal mindset, right? If you make that big spend, a frugal person is going to really, really hold back on the next couple purchases. Right. So someone old and expensive like Rodgers might be the play. Old and inexpensive might be the play, just because shelling out for Darnold might not feel right after paying for DK. But if you're really phrasing it money-wise, why would you spend the money on good receivers if you're not going to also spend the money on the right person to throw him the ball?
Right. Cody, before you go, let me just put some ideas in your head. I got it up right here. You ready, CJ?
Yeah, let's do it.
They have Kirk Cousins at number 1. They got Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, then Jalen Milroe, then Jackson Dart, then Russell Wilson, then everybody else. They have Russell Wilson after Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart. So I don't know how to take
That's
that,
crazy.
but there y'all go.
Yeah, I don't know how to take that either, but I think I'm gonna roll with Rodgers too. I think, yeah, it makes sense if you're going to go big money with the receiver. You want to go big money with the quarterback, but I can see them doing the opposite there. So I think they go cheaper and older, get Rodgers, and maybe you draft Milroe to sit behind Rodgers for a year or two. But I think they end up going Rodgers. I think that would be my pick as right now.
I like Rodgers a lot. I think that's a really good pick. Let me pose a question about the implications of this move. How do you think George Pickens is going to feel about paying DK Metcalf $150 million when he's about to be due? I think this is about entering year 3, so he has one more year before, or this one more, once he goes through this year, to figure out whether or not they're going to give him, or at least open his window for extension. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Like, you think George Pickens and DK are going to mesh well in Pittsburgh?
I think we're going to know how Pickens feels probably in the next 2 days. Pickens is not a quiet guy.
Right.
And however he feels is going to come out immediately. He will not mince his words. So if he feels any type of way, we're going to hear up front.
Agreed. Yeah, he's definitely not a shy one or a quiet one. So yeah, I don't follow him on anything, but maybe I will, just to see his reaction in the next couple days for sure.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, he just got no choice but to be patient, bro. Just wait your turn, ball out one more year, and wait your turn. That's it. That's just my thesis.
But do you guys think that he'll get paid in Pittsburgh, or do you think it will be somewhere else?
Ooh, I'm thinking somewhere else.
Me too.
I feel like
Cody.
That relationship last year kind of got a little weird. So I think it's gonna be somewhere else.
You know, we've seen this before, right? You know, we got a really good receiver, but it's a wild card off the field and sometimes on the field. We've seen this before. I'm going to give you an example of Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham was in the middle of his prime, Giants, you know, and then they got rid of him out of nowhere for the same exact issues on and off the field. You just don't know with this guy. He's a wild card. So I think Pickens could be going somewhere else. I agree with you, Cody.
We don't even have to look too far to see the history of, I don't want to use the word diva, but like wide receiver. I mean, you can use whatever you want in Pittsburgh, right? AB. Right. And I think one thing I don't think gets mentioned enough is how Mike Tomlin has held like all the drama between Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown under wraps for so long. Right. Until he just couldn't anymore, right? And he's been able to hold personalities in check and be able to let them do their thing, but also keep it hush-hush for the most part. But yeah, I just don't know if, again, it's like, you know, you can afford to be who you can afford to be. So if you're going to be Triple Crown guy, which AB was, we can deal with some more issues, right? But if you're just like 800-900-yard seasons and just, you know, okay, you maybe need to be a little bit more quiet like a mouse, to be honest.
Yes, sir.
I think that we could draw a connection to our GOAT debate last week and say that a lot of these receivers that have the off the field issues a generation ago, right, were headed to go play with Brady because there was only one quarterback that could, you know, fix that relation. And he couldn't fix every relationship, right? But a lot of guys would head towards Brady and you know, in hopes of rejuvenating that career. Well, I think we've seen a couple of teams be really open to receivers with off the field issues. One notably, of course, being the Chiefs, and it hasn't gone super well for them yet. Another news story that's not a trade would be the Xavier Worthy, news that has come out, and I won't dive too deep into it because it's a little too off the field. But you know, the Chiefs have shown really no hesitation to go after players who have off the field problems, and they're always trying to fill holes in that receivers room. So maybe a year or two from now, we're looking at the Chiefs taking a stab at Pickens.
Yeah. With Worthy last year, and then Rashee Rice last year had a couple of stuff too, right? Yeah. So yeah, they're not afraid.
Literally back-to-back draft picks of guys just with issues, and it's like it almost seems like it'd be a prerequisite. I hate to say it, but it's like it's just uncanny. So moving on to more receiver news. Earlier today, we saw the Los Angeles Rams signed Davante Adams to a 2-year, $46 million deal, which I think I'm a little surprised. I was thinking he was going to go to the other LA team, to the Chargers.
Right.
But obviously West Coast, I think, was always going to be the move for him, being closer to his family, because I don't think they've ever moved with him to the cities that he's been to. So now he gets to be closer to his family, and I think it's going to be beneficial to him. What do you guys think?
I mean, the first thing that you think of, right, is that they're moving on from Cup. It doesn't seem like they're going to pay Cup as well. He obviously commands a lot more of a paycheck, and there's not really room, not just money-wise, but targets-wise, right? They love feeding Nakua, and it's probably already going to be a pretty tight contest between these two receivers in LA for targets, as Davante definitely commands his own load of targets. So Cup is going to be on the move. It's just a matter of where he's headed.
Yeah, agreed. I think that was pretty much already a done deal that Cup was out. But yeah, this pretty much ends that conversation at all. But I mean, I like the move for the Rams. I was looking at Davante Adams after the trade happened. I didn't realize he put up 1,000 yards between the Raiders and Jets last year. And so like he still has a lot left in the tank. Well, maybe not a lot, but a couple of years left in the tank. He won't be the number one guy behind Nakua. Him and Stafford can kind of ride it out for these last 2 years, and maybe they can get to a Super Bowl or something. I mean, they played the Eagles right to the edge, closer than any other team did. So maybe this can help them get over the edge.
Yeah, man, I like the moves for the Rams, man. I love it. But I'm not high on the Rams as everybody else. I think Davante Adams' career is taking a turn here. He's starting to become a journeyman. If I had to make an example, I don't know if you guys follow basketball, but Allen Iverson was very good for a long time on the Sixers. Then he went to Memphis, Denver Nuggets, and all these other teams. It seems like this is just another journey he's trying to go on. I like it for the Rams, but will they win a championship? Will they win an NFC? I still don't think so.
I think that the NFC West is very doable. It's wide open now. Like the Seahawks, with their moves, and they are kind of taking a step back. We'll talk about their big quarterback move shortly. And you know, the Cardinals are like I don't know, like they're a question mark team. Like they got pieces, but they play hard for sure, but it's not enough to be able to finish and play complete games. The 49ers are strapped for cash and trying to sell as much as possible to try to even field a full team this year. So it's really wide open for the Rams, to be honest, in the NFC West. But for the whole NFC conference, I don't know. I think they can still be up there, honestly. Obviously, all the teams in the NFC North are really good. NFC East will probably be reloaded up again. NFC South is non-existent. So, I mean, that one team will get it. And so,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they have a really good chance if you kind of look at, if you look around the room a little bit, But going back to the Seahawks, so the Seahawks are kind of cleaning house as well up there in Seattle. I guess everyone's tired of the rainy weather and the cloudy days. Geno Smith actually denied a 2-year, $45 million contract and requested a trade, which led to the trade of him to the Las Vegas Raiders, which now puts the Raiders in a good position to go in the draft, best player available. So how do you guys feel about Geno Smith to the Raiders from the Raiders side?
Well,
unexpiring.
Yeah, from the Raiders side, I mean, I like it. It's definitely an upgrade over Minshew or O'Connell. I mean, I don't know how much you can get out of I think they still draft a quarterback, but not at 6 anymore, probably in the 2nd or 3rd round. But I like it. I mean, I still think they need a lot more, and they need to make a lot more moves. But you reunite him with Pete Carroll, so maybe there was a connection there that they really liked, and I think it makes them better. But I mean, they're still in a division with the Chiefs and the Chargers, and the Broncos made the playoffs last year, so they're still got a long way to go to even kind of get close to those teams.
There's a lot that can happen in this draft. And so I think that there's a possibility that with the way the draft starts out, that sixth pick could be in high demand. And of course, with having so many needs to address, they might trade back and just get more draft capital so that they can begin to address those needs, because maybe that sixth overall pick doesn't address their needs as well as several second round picks or something of that regard, or if they can get a valuable player out of it if the team is desperate enough. So I definitely look for them to be a potential trade back. Of course, the big trade backs are always in the top 5, so they almost fall right outside of the being able to really, really leverage that pick. Now not needing a quarterback, so it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens in the first probably 3 picks might determine how valuable their pick is.
Yeah, man, I second that. Like, as far as the Raiders' perspective, I like I said, Geno Smith, you can get a quarterback, but what else do you have? I mean, relying on Alexander Madison. Is he still on the team?
I don't really know. He should.
See, like Amir Abdullah, Zamir White, everyone thought he was going to take a step forward. He took steps back. I think the best receiver is Trey Tucker, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Jacoby Meyer.
Yeah,
Jacoby Myers, and then you have I like Brock Bowers, but I mean,
Brock Bowers is the number one receiver.
Right. So I mean, I don't know how to feel about this team. This is a wait and see type of situation, but I don't think they're formidable at all. Still,
yeah, we shall see. I definitely think Geno's a bridge guy. Again, but then it's like if you invest that much money, it's like, do you want to go a Jordan Love route, where you get a guy who you think maybe it's more of a project? So maybe you even go Jalen Milroe, because I think Jalen Milroe is probably the biggest project. But everyone outside of probably Cam Ward probably needs time and a little seasoning, I think. So you can go whoever is your flavor of ice cream that you would like. I mean, you can probably have him sit for a couple years and hopefully he can grow. But even still, like I know, Pete Carroll's definitely going to try to change the program around and be competitive by next year.
Right.
But they need a lot, lot.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Cody.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think this could affect Shedeur Sanders, because I thought this is where he would kind of go with 6. Because everything he's fallen, I think he could. I don't know. He could fall out of the top 10 maybe at this point if he gets past the Giants. I think it can get really interesting to see how far he goes down.
Yes.
Yeah, this free agency period is really going to be crucial for these top quarterbacks in the draft, because this will show you exactly how, at least for the most part, how teams feel who are quarterback needy, right? And there's been rumors that's been popping up today that Malik, the Titans, Neighbors.
Willis.
Willis, thank you. Malik Willis possibly could have a bit of a trade market with 1 year left on his rookie deal. He could possibly command like a little mini extension to see if there's something there. Obviously, he played well in the cleanup spots he had with the Packers. So even they're kicking the dust on backup quarterbacks. That doesn't show you a lot of confidence in this rookie class, right? At least right now before free agency starts.
I kind of touched on this last week, but we talked about there's been a lot of quarterbacks that have broken the model of how it's usually not a good idea to start right away, right? CJ Stroud being, of course, one of the bigger examples of this. Even Herbert kind of getting that shot with what happened to Tyrod Taylor. Like, we had some very, very fortunate, workings for these teams, but this has not been the model over history. And so I think that this quarterback class might be a return to the mean. I think that these guys will probably be given the opportunity to start on the teams that'll draft them, and we'll see why that hasn't been the most successful model looking back historically, just because these guys all have unlimited potential and so much talent, but they're so raw that the mistakes will be abundant, right? We see it a little bit with Caleb Williams, right? There wasn't really anyone to put ahead of him, so you're not going to sit him. But he had a lot of mistakes because he needed to adjust to the NFL model, right? He played behind an O-line in college that could protect him very well, and against defenses that were porous, and it made for a very slow developing pocket presence, and he really needed time to learn that, and he was thrown out in the NFL. And He took a lot of hits, threw a lot of picks, and he made mistakes early on, but we saw growth. A little bit up and down throughout the season, but he definitely showed plenty of flashes of that potential. But he probably did need to sit behind someone. There just wasn't anyone in the Bears organization, and they weren't going to go get someone that he would sit behind.
Right. I agree. And I kind of see that with Cam Ward too. I like Cam Ward can do a lot of great, he did a lot of great stuff at Washington State and Miami this past year, but he does a lot of those things that Caleb Williams did that you can kind of get away in college with, but in the NFL, you just can't. And so I think he could use some time, but he's probably going in the top 3. The Giants or the Titans don't have any other options, or the Browns. So he's probably going to have to start from day 1 too. And so he's going to have to just learn on the job.
I mean, the Giants just put their first quarterback on the roster this week by re-signing DeVito.
Tommy Cutlets.
Right.
I think I tweeted out that Brian Dable just can't quit him. He just can't quit the Cutlets. It's like whoever I need a guy to just go to late in the season is going to be DeVito. Right. So let's flip it. Let's flip the perspective from the Seahawks. What are we doing? Is this offense that bad? I mean, we got rid of number 1 receiver, number 3 receiver, the starting quarterback. Obviously, the offensive line wasn't very good last year. So do we go younger? Is it Sam Howell's season for the Seattle Seahawks?
I'm a Tar Heel, and I love Sam Howell. I'll ride or die for the guy, right? I'm a huge believer. Watched him. I was even familiar with his game in high school. Immense fan of him, and I think he's got all the stuff, and he showed it in Washington. I just administratively, it doesn't make sense for the Seahawks, right? I want him to get that opportunity, and I think he can flourish with the right opportunity. He was not a terrible quarterback in Washington, and I was surprised when they moved on. I was upset by the move. I thought it would work out poorly for them. Obviously, they found a star in Jaden Daniels, so I'm eating my words there. But I think very highly of Sam Howell. I think he's got what it takes. However, if you take a step out of the bias that I hold, it does not make a lot of sense for them to make that move back to Sam Howell with the faith that the Commanders showed in him and with the faith that they showed so far in him, not really giving him the opportunity to compete with Geno Smith at all, who obviously was a more seasoned, experienced quarterback. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's pretty hard to see where they go if they do get another quarterback, because it seems like they're going to give Howell a chance, or maybe somewhat of an equal competition, maybe bringing in someone who, going into when they had Geno Smith start for the first time, he was going to be competing with, who was it, Drew Lock or?
Drew Lock and Geno,
So maybe they bring in someone for competition and just let the best man win. It doesn't make a ton of sense, like I said, so we'll have to see where they go.
Yeah, I think they actually saw good things out of Sam Howell. Maybe not in the game, but maybe in practice and whatever else the case may be. So that's why they were willing to get off Geno Smith. Like, okay, let's get off Geno Smith while the value is very high. Because we all know, I talked about it last episode when I brought up Geno Smith, y'all laughed at me. So, I think this is a perfect time this is the highest Geno value is ever going to be. So just get off him, rock with Sam Howell. I think he's just as good, or he could be even better in the future than Geno Smith. So, get off Geno and just build the offense around Sam Howell, Jackson Smith, and the jig. But you still got Kenneth Walker and I like to call him Zach Chardonnay. Yeah. So man, I don't hate it. I'm happy they got off DK and Geno. Let's see what they do.
Yeah, I was a big Sam Howell fan. I am a Commanders fan, so I was excited when he was playing well. Very frustrated how Eric Bieniemy kind of treated him and threw him to the wolves. No pun intended. But I think he has the arm talent. He has the ability. He's a dual threat guy, rocket of an arm. A little bit of, he has that like gunslinger mentality, which you can love, but you can also hate. But at the same time, it's like, why I want to see more teams experiment with just going younger. Like we saw that with Geno. Like Geno was like, oh wow, like Geno's getting an opportunity to start. Or when Tyrod Taylor won out the starting job, and they was going with Tyrod with the Bills for a little bit. And so what's like, obviously Mike McDonald's still in a good point in his contract where it's only been 1 year, right? And so he's not like desperate. So I think he could have the opportunity to see if this could work. Give him competition, of course, but like not real competition. You want him to win the job. And then if it fails, you draft a better draft class for a quarterback. And if they succeed, you get a cheap young quarterback. He's probably year 3? This will be year 3 coming up, I think. So he might still have 1 more year left on his rookie deal. So you might be able to give him like a modest extension, because he hasn't shown too much, but just enough,
right?
And ride with it. And like I think a lot of teams are kind of too scared to go that route. They just like, I guess maybe just for the shareholders or your fans, it doesn't look the best, but like I think he's a capable starting quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Yeah, go ahead, Jackson.
You got it, Cody.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you guys. And like, you give him a year. If he doesn't work out, next year's draft's supposed to be a lot better at quarterback. Then you're back in that pool and see what happens. But hey, if he works out, like you said, he's still cheap. Is this his 3rd year coming up, or will this be his 4th year?
Actually, this will be his 4th year now thinking about it. Because his 2nd year was, he sat this 1st year in Washington. The 2nd year he started. And then this past year, he was backup. So this will be his 4th year coming into. So, I mean, you could extend him. If you believe in him, you can extend him for, say, like 2 years, $20 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, just give him like more starter money and then go from there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. You probably, even if he has a good year, you probably still can get him on the cheap because it's only 1 year and he's still young. So yeah, I think you see what you got with him. You got Njigba, you got good running backs. See what you can get in the draft with some receivers. But yeah, I think it was time to kind of move on from Geno a little bit. It seems like they were just kind of spinning their wheels. It was just kind of the same result every year. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they do because it seems like they're cleaning house, but we'll see if they have a direction there.
Yeah. And they traded for him. They traded for Sam Howell too.
They traded, yeah.
I think they gave up like a 4th or 5th round pick. So like, I mean, it's not a ton, but it's also not nothing either.
Right.
They invested something in him, so there's something to be said about that. I think his offensive production matched with his turnover potential makes him the closest thing we've ever seen to a white Jameis Winston. And if we're talking purely about selling tickets, that kind of play sells tickets because it's fun to watch.
So you can be Derek Cutter as OC then.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to more big moves this past week. Well, let's just talk about signings. Max Crosby got extended 3 years. I think 100 and I just had it up. 3 years, $106.5 million, $91.5 million guaranteed. An edge that was possibly looking to be moved now stays in Vegas. And then another edge. I mean, we're going to do a little edge talk here. Max Crosby gets paid. And then the big news today, Myles Garrett gets a whole buttload of money today, $40 million a year. And now it looks like Trey Hendrickson is going to be the belle of the ball for this free agent period. So what do you guys think about Myles Garrett's contract? And the lack of edges available for the free agent period now.
Yeah,
this works out.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man.
All right, I'll take this one.
Yeah.
I'll just say that I think this works out best. This whole scenario works out best for one person, and that's Trey Hendrickson. Because now, even though his team doesn't pay him right now, he's now, as you said, the belle of the ball. He's he's a great edge rusher who is a free agent. After one just got paid so much money. Now, he's not going to make what Garrett makes, of course. No. But having the market extended like this means that he probably will make more now just because of Garrett getting paid like that, because it draws the whole margin up. I mean, I don't know how long it's been since you guys were in college, but they had the grading curve. Whenever everyone failed the exams, they move everyone up together. Well, Garrett just moved every free agent up a little bit as far as edge rushers go. So he can thank Garrett for staying at a losing program and taking all that money. And hopefully he gets paid too. But, if it continues with the model, I don't know if any of the more winning contender programs are going to pay him that.
Right. Yeah, that'll be like I agree with both of you guys. Hendrickson is the winner here, and maybe his teammate in Cincinnati, Jamar Chase, is a winner too, because he ends up being the highest paid non-quarterback as well. So that'll move up his market as well. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, Hendrickson, I think, is going to demand a ton on the open market. We'll see what they can give back to Cincinnati. I don't know what Cincinnati's plan is. Are they just planning to drop 40 and give up 40 every week? And that's how they win games.
Exactly.
But
Right.
yeah,
CTV.
Yeah, so I don't know what their plan is, but yeah, I think. And then with Max Crosby, I like that he's staying in Vegas. I feel like he's a Raider. I feel like he's fit for that team. I'd love to see him on a playoff team, but I just feel like he's fit for that team and just that city. So hopefully that can help them a little bit. But I guess with Myles Garrett, everybody has their price. I mean, who could really turn down $40 million a year? And then I think he got, what was it, like 120 guaranteed or something like that?
120 guaranteed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah, I mean, I know he wanted to get out, but it's hard to turn down that. That's pretty crazy.
Yes, that is. And you know what? I just had a notification. It says Steelers are favorites to trade for Micah Parsons. Okay, anyway. All right. I don't know why. But anyway, yeah, I kind of don't like it because I wanted to see Myles Garrett in a different place. And I wanted to see Max Crosby, maybe Detroit. I want to see Myles Garrett with Philly. Detroit. Yeah, I'm like, but you know what? They want to keep losing. That's on them. At least they get their, at least they get their money, So who am I? Making. I only make like a few thousand a year. So they make what I make in 5 minutes. So all power to them.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely. I will say to your mark, Cody, is that I think he will. I think he might push the 40 million mark, get close to it. I don't know where he slots in at, but he was the league leader in sacks this past year, and he had 17 and a half sacks both these last 2 years. To get that production, like it should at least command 35. I feel like he should be right around the $35 million a year. The only issue is he is 31. And I think Myles Garrett's 29, 30. So he's a little bit younger than him.
You talking about Henderson?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So Trey is a little older, but his production has still been good. So it's like, I think he'll get a fair dollar, but it's how much in return will he get? Will the Bengals get from him? Because I think he still has 1 year left on his deal. So he's still under contract with the Bengals. And I heard that the price tag was like a late second, early third for him, which that is possible. But if you're going to have to also pay him that amount of money, teams are going to try to go for like a fourth, try to get it down to a fourth if possible. But we'll see what the bidding war looks like.
Yeah, I agree with that argument. I think that there's a lot of considerations at play. And we're talking about him, because we're comparing him to Garrett and just the prowess that Garrett has. This is one of the better players in the NFL. Trey Hendrickson is a dog. I mean, he is the league leader in sacks. And so, we're talking about him like he's not this, hyper valuable asset. And honestly, you could be blessed to get him for a second or a third round pick. I think he could continue that production, but obviously it's a business and you're always trying to mark people down. I'll say one last thing about Crosby. And I think that my favorite thing about him is he just loves being a part of the media. He loves just the attention. He loves having his face on TV. And so I think some of the talk about him moving from the Raiders was stuff that he encouraged just to spice things up. I think he's a guy who gets bored easily. And I think he just wanted to have a little fun with seeing who would beg for him, which fan base would want to see where he goes. And I think at the end of the day, like he was never at odds with the Raiders, but he likes stirring the pot. I think he was always someone who, really likes to cause a scene just kind of for the attention, not really in a diva way, but just in a, I get bored and I want to stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah. I think he posted right after the Geno trade that he was pretty stoked about that trade. So maybe he was just trying to get them to do some stuff in free agency and some trades, trying to get them to make some moves.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Tom Brady is leading the charge, right, for helping this team figuring out what their plan is. So obviously this plan that the Raiders showed Max must be pretty exciting. Obviously, he just wants to win. right? He's going to be a dog competitor. I mean, they have really good pieces on the defense. They signed Christian Wilkinson last year, and I think they got like Nate. I don't even know who's on that team, to be honest. But but on the offensive side, I just know Brock. Brock is my guy.
Right.
So then that's like so that knowing with the Raiders, what kind of plan did Andrew Berry and the Browns show Myles Garrett besides the $40 million? Was it just the $40 million? Don't look at anything else, or is it like, you know what, this is what we're going to attack? Like, we're really going to go for it next year. You know what I mean? Because like, I get the money part, but I feel like there was also something else, especially if the reports were to be true. Haslam, the owner, denied meeting Garrett to talk about everything. And he just said, hey, he just mailed him a check, like by post carrier or something. Like, I don't know. That situation is just still bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say is I don't see no bright side to the Browns. So I don't know what kind of plan they made. I mean, you got the massage guy still at quarterback, and he hasn't been good since the massages. So, I mean.
Well, he won't be playing quarterback in the 2025. So he retore his Achilles because he didn't wear his brace. And so, and it's really tough to re-tear your Achilles.
Yeah, I'm on the belief to say I really think the money made him stay. He's like, you know what? I've been here for a long time. I'll take the money. I'm going to be the highest non-paid quarterback in the league, and I think it was just the money. And he's been there for a while because there's no bright spots on Cleveland roster or future at all.
I will push back on that a little bit.
Okay.
Again, the quarterback position, I think, is literally what is. They definitely could use some more playmakers, but like it's a very talented roster. Andrew Berry acquired so much talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. The offensive line at one point before they got banged up so much last year was a really stout deep offensive line that, you know, you saw Nick Chubb running behind. Like, they ran their offense through Nick Chubb. He was 1,400-yard rusher, right? And I was like, all right, all Deshaun had to do was just, you know, feed him, be that point guard, right? But that meant that just that chemistry between Stefanski and Watson was just not there. And the defense just couldn't continue to hold up and be dominant. And so that's been their biggest downfall.
Well, let me ask you this. So you said they have a talented roster, right? But is it a more talented roster than the Ravens? Is it a more talented roster than maybe the Steelers? Even without a quarterback, I still like the Steelers roster better. Is it more talented than the Bengals roster? So, I mean, that's what I mean by I don't see no bright spots.
Better than the Bengals roster.
All right, maybe Bengals, but Steelers and Ravens, I don't think so.
It's competing. But again, it's like now, like once you kind of got outside your window, because they had like 2 years ago, like their window was to win now with all the they made a lot of good moves like that. Deshaun Watson was supposed to be like to open up their Super Bowl window, right? And he just forgot how to play football. Yeah. So
they thought it was going to open, but it closed it.
It really did.
It was hard on them. There's a whole. I'm with CJ a little bit. I think their roster is better than what people. I mean, you got Judy and Njoku's not bad, but I don't know what's the status of Nick Chubb. Is he coming back? Is he healthy? I feel
he's a free agent right now. So I mean.
And he's never been the same since that injury 2 years ago either.
When he broke his foot again and at the end of last year.
Yeah. That was kind of going to be my transitionary question, right? Is we talk so much about the dumpster fire that is the Browns quarterback room. However, the Browns' identity has been buried in the running game for so long, and that's always been their calling card for so long. And so with Nick Chubb as a free agent and obviously having several injuries, that's so unfortunate because I've always loved Nick Chubb as a player. They're losing value in him constantly. I hope that he's able to land somewhere and get a paycheck before it's probably time for him to call it quits on football for his own health and safety. I don't really know. They've got a couple of guys behind Chubb that played okay when the O-line was healthy, but there was no real the guy behind him. So what do they do at running back this year? I don't see them drafting one because they seem to find value in guys all over the league. How do they reclaim their running identity because their quarterback identity is not going to exist for this year?
I have the answer. And it is in the draft because this running back class is insane.
It's deep.
It's insane.
It
but
is.
a guy I think that would just really translate so well to Cleveland, Ohio, and that culture, the dog pound, is none other than Cam Scatterbo.
I knew you was about to say Scatterbo. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
He makes too much sense. His mentality, how he wants to run through people. He pretty much is a clone of Nick Chubb, right? And I think that would be a lot of fun. I mean, you can double up. I mean, Jerome Ford is solid, but he's not an RB1, right? He's so it's like, you know, you're not going to get much out of him. But like, I mean, you can go Cam Scatterbo later on, and then you can even maybe get like a Judkins.
I would say keep the Ohio State running backs. Keep one of them in Ohio. I love Trevion Henderson in the second round of them. I think it would be nice. Well,
I don't know if he might not go make it that far.
I just don't think they have a right. They might not. I just don't think they have a number one guy at any position. I like Jerry Jeudy, but is he a wide receiver one? I don't think so. Right, Jerome Ford, is he a running back one? I don't think so. Watson, I don't know who they have a quarterback. Right. I'm sure they're not a number one. So I just like, that's where I'm like, where's the direction? Where's the talent coming from? But I get it. I like the defense. Don't get me wrong. I like the defense, but the offense, you can miss me with that, man.
Cedric Tillman kind of showed out a little bit once Jameis Winston kind of started playing. He just force-fed Cedric Tillman. I really like Cedric Tillman coming out of Tennessee.
I like him a lot.
He got hurt his last year. So a lot of people that Jalen Hyatt, Hyatt kind of overshadowed his real talent. So I think the Steelers got a steal out of him. They also have, I want to say, Jamari Thrash from Louisville, who's like a spark plug. I really like him out of the draft last year. So they have like some sleeper guys, but you need that quarterback piece that's going to be able to like bring it out. And I don't think Kirk Cousins should be the answer because he can't move. But Kirk Cousins and Kevin Stefanski worked so perfectly in Minnesota when he was his offensive coordinator. That was a good fit. So like, who's a quarterback that's similar? And I think the answer, and I kind of hate this answer, if you were have to get a guy in free agency, and if you're trying to win now, it might be Russ Wilson. It might be Russell Wilson with Kevin Stefanski. That offense, I think, fits like a glove.
Yeah. Do you think Cam Ward gets the 2? Do you think he gets past the Titans? I mean, I feel like that could be I don't know if you want to start him from day one with the weapons that they have, but I mean,
that only happened if the Titans take Shador, which I doubt.
I don't think Shador's going top 5.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I keep hearing Titans are trying to get out of number 1, trying to get some picks, get some players and things. So yeah, I mean, maybe they can move up one spot. Shouldn't take them a bunch to get Cam Ward, but I think he may fall to them at 2. Because I think if the Titans stay, they just take Carter, who I think is the best player in the draft, is Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter is a freak. I think that makes too much sense. I mean, it just depends on how you feel about Travis Hunter. I have an opposing position than most about Travis Hunter, but it just depends how you feel about him.
This is the time to share it.
I would say, let's hear it. Yeah.
All right, so here's my Travis Hunter opinions, and you could call me crazy. I want you to call me crazy because we can open up some dialogue here.
Right.
But I just think that Travis Hunter is just a really good athlete, and it's not I don't think he's going to be a good receiver in the league, and I think he's only a zone corner. Right. So obviously he weighed in at 181. How real is that 181 at the combine? Right. And then watching his tape, like he's not asked to do much. He's it's just get him the ball and let him do stuff, which is fine. Like get him in around some trick plays is fine. But his route tree is not there. He relies too much on his athleticism, which don't get me wrong, he's a freak athlete. So you can do that, but he's not a polished route runner. And I don't see him playing man. Like, so when I think of like him lining up against like an AJ Brown, barbecue chicken, that's over, right? So, but I think a good landing spot for him would be the Patriots because of the fact that, you look in division, look at the receivers, right? He can match up speed for speed with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, right? That's not like, but it's like physical receivers. Like, I don't think he has that in him. But if he plays more zone, for sure, and he has really good ball skills. He's a better DB than he is a receiver, but he's not the best receiver or the best corner in this draft. What some people like to say.
Right. Yeah, I know you said that you're kind of like in the minority on that opinion. I'm with you. I'm almost like 100% with you because that's how I feel about him as well. I don't think he can play both ways. I think he'll get like packages on offense. I don't think he'll play full-time offense. But yeah, I think he's gonna be a corner in the NFL. But I don't see him being like a Christian Gonzalez or a Pat Surtain, or like I don't see him being an elite cornerback right away either. I just don't think he's got the size. And like you said, he wasn't asked to do a lot. And I mean, Big 12, I don't know how many great receivers were in the Big 12 anyway. So
he got cooked by Elick.
The Stanford receiver.
Stanford.
Yeah.
I love him. He's like one of my favorite. Him and Torrey Holton are like sleeper receivers. I think you can get in the middle rounds that I think are big bodied. They're about 6'2" and can run. And they both gave Travis Hunter fits, so
that boy out of Arizona is a dog too, though.
Yeah, the one that made the one-handed catches or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's great. I love
that guy.
Yeah, he's a stud for sure.
Yeah. Well, my take on Travis Hunter, I just feel like I feel like I have a decent example. He's just a very famous Percy Harvin. That's what it feels like. He's just like a very famous Percy Harvin, someone who, if y'all don't know, he went both ways as well. And he had packages for him, and that was it. Jet sweep here, maybe a bubble screen, and then he returned some kicks. But I don't think Travis Hunter going to reach like superstar status. He's just very famous, but very famous Percy Harvin.
I can't even say that because I think I'm not going to disrespect Travis because Travis, I just think of his straight line speed. He's a little shifty too. Like he's slippery. He's like slippery clean that he can get out of a lot of stuff.
Right.
But I don't know.
I think he's a poor man's version of his coach at Colorado with Deion, because Deion could have played both ways too, and then played in Major League.
He did play both ways, yeah.
Wow.
And I think
Okay.
Like he's not on the level of Deion Sanders at all. So
yeah. I was gonna say no slander from Deion Sanders from me.
I think Deion's one of the best. So yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so I think he's not on that level either. I think he could be a decent pro at the quarterback position, but I don't know if he's a top 5 pick. But that's probably where he ends up going.
Yeah, and I know he wants so hard in his young heart to play both sides and be different because he's always done it. But my thing is too is like right when you don't. Was it a jack of all trades, master of none, right? So then it's like, it's going to be different in the NFL. Like they're training that specifically how to game plan against you. And I just don't know if he has enough of the bag right now. Obviously we got to see his growth. I'm not going to keep harping on him, but like, if he gets up to like, say like 205, like 200, that would make you, that's a lot. That's 20 pounds, but like maybe like 195, you know what I'm saying? By like year 5, then we can start to talk about him being a little bit more physical. Obviously, he's going to get bulkier as he gets older naturally.
Right.
But I don't know.
And this is the last thing I'll say. We've seen guys like this before. Kind of, not really, but kind of. And like there was a DeAnthony Thomas that was out of Oregon, and then Tavon Austin out of West Virginia. And these kind of guys, they're electric in college, but and NFL don't really translate. So I just want to give some examples of that.
I think if we're talking about longevity too, there's a lot of considerations that Hunter needs to have when he just talks about what's best for his career and with himself moving forward in the league, right? He really, really wants to prove to everyone that he can play both ways. And honestly, I'm kind of going to go against the grain that we have going here and say that he can. But I don't think that it's sustainable. I think it's horrible for the human body to play that much football in one season. So he's not going to be able to play that many seasons if he's getting that many snaps, right? If he wants to have a long, successful, high-paying, legacy-defining career, he's got to pick a position for his future. It's not about right now. I think he can do it right now, and he can grow in both positions, and he can be successful. He's that athletic. He's that dynamic. But I think for a long and successful career, he has to invest in himself and pick one. And I think it should be his decision and not the assignment of a team, because that's only going to grow disdain between him and whoever it is that makes that decision for him. Because it's not about him not having the talent for it. He has the talent. It's just about what is going to last you the longest, right? You can play receiver for a longer time. You can play corner for a longer time. But if you play both, consider that shaving about a quarter of your career off, because you're inevitably more prone to injuries with more more chances for contact, more chances for non-contact injuries, especially at the corner and receiver positions where there's a lot of cutting, sharp cutting on fields that, he could end up somewhere where he plays in MetLife more than once a season, and that stadium is not kind to people's joints, So I really think that he could benefit from making a decision for himself, for the longevity of his career, not to knock his talent at all. Once again, I think he can do it right now. It just doesn't make sense for the future. I think he can really set himself up better if he picks one.
Yeah, I agree with that point because I think he averaged about 130 snaps a game at Colorado. That's not sustainable in the NFL. And kind of your goal is to get to that second contract is where you get the big money. Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know if he does that for the first 4 years. He makes it to that second contract. So, yeah, I agree. He could have the talent to do it. But, yeah, I don't think it would be a smart idea if he really wants to have a long career in the NFL. I'm with you on that one, too.
I mean, we already seen at Colorado how it's not been sustainable. People are like hyping up how well he did, but like he was already having to deal with little nicks and injuries that kept him out. So I hope for his sake that he can do it because I mean it'll be exciting. Like again, it'll be like Shohei Ohtani. It'll be something different. It'll be something that we haven't really saw, or not really saw, but like if he thrives, especially playing like full time both sides, it'll be fun, different, and refreshing. For the league. Speaking about the league, I don't know how much you guys look into CT ESPN and how much you believe in their source.
Shout out
they
AB,
posted
man.
a picture of Aaron Rodgers in the Steelers uniform. And we kind of talked about this earlier. Could this be a reputable source? I mean, who else could you want to have facilitating the football?
He has been scary accurate with his news creation. It is alarming that someone who I think is very much out of the league and is somewhat shunned by all media outlets really gets his fingers on the news sometimes before the big guys in the media. So maybe he's onto something. Maybe he's just stirring the pot, but he's been scary accurate. I think if you had your money follow AB's projections, you'd actually be up right now, which is alarming.
Sure. Right. Yeah, it's true. I don't know if I could follow. Yeah. If you would have told me a year ago, just bet AB's predictions, I don't think I would have done that. But
right.
All right,
he has been right. Yeah, he has been right more than you think he would be. Like I said earlier, I think that'd be interesting. Rodgers in with the Steelers.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting too. Just to give a little side fact, Antonio Brown last year, he posted like an anytime touchdown parlay for like week 1. It was like 4 guys. I took it. I bet the same thing, and it actually won. So I'm like, this guy, he must know something. So yeah, he must know something.
I think he went like 4 weeks in a row with that. Maybe it wasn't 4. He went a couple weeks in a row by posting like a handful of guys for any times. And he got him right, and it was like he was saying for people to parlay him, and of course people were like, "I'm definitely not getting I'm not betting my hard-earned money on what Antonio Brown is telling me to do."
Right. Yep.
So let's end the show with two predicting things, right? So we're gonna get our Super Bowl prediction at the very end. Kind of teased that last show, but let's predict the next big move. Let's go around the horn, predicting the next big move we think is going to happen this free agency cycle.
Well, I don't have a big move, but I know we was talking about the Browns. If I am the Browns, I'm trying to get off David Njoku right now and look for something else and see what else I can get out there and rebuild, because you might as well get off him right now.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Not a big move, but that's something I would do if I was.
I mean, I think that's kind of big because I can, like, obviously his injuries again has been his downfall, but I kind of consider Njoku a top 10 tight end when he's healthy.
Well, Evan Ingram was a top 10 tight end. He got cut.
Yeah, but they got the same, issues. So they're not able to stay on the field. But also it's a new regime. Like I thought that the Browns were going to clean house last year because, I mean, especially if you were going to try to make it work with Deshaun. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, now it's like Deshaun's not going to probably play again on that contract. So, free money.
Yep. David Njoku, my pick.
Okay.
I like Trey Hendrickson going out west to the Chargers. They're losing both Mack and Bosa. You need some sort of, edge play, some get after the quarterback, get after Mahomes. You just saw some he can get rattled. He just got rattled by Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. So get the sack leader guy, like you said, 17.5 sacks last 2 seasons, replace Bosa and Mack. I think that could be huge for them. They got a lot of cap space. They got trade of value too. So I think that could really be a good move for them.
Absolutely. I love that. I don't have a ton of huge projections. This wasn't something I dove too deep into, but early on in free agency, I think there was a lot of buzz about the Packers trying to shake things up because they're in a really scary position where they're pushing this purgatory of a middle ground where they're contentious enough to make the playoffs, but not quite that leap up. So I see them grabbing someone. Who that someone is, I think that there was talk that they were interested in DK, which was interesting. Obviously, that is not happening now. But I think that they could maybe still be interested in a big-time receiver. There's plenty of receivers still available to make moves for, with a couple of guys, not super happy in their position. Or maybe I know that they already have a pretty good pass rush with Gary and some other guys. I don't see them paying Hendrickson that much money. But maybe someone a little bit below Hendrickson's pay grade to beef up that pass rush, as Jordan Love can still sling the ball. And so maybe they bolster that defense and allow Jordan Love to do his thing with the offense he had last year.
Okay. That's interesting. I think a bold prediction that I want to give is that I think that the Bills are not done. I think the Bills are going to make another big move to just almost say, like, this is our commitment and dedication to you. Obviously, he just signed a massive deal of 6 years, $330 million, $250 of it guaranteed, which is now the biggest guaranteed money in NFL history. But I could see them making a big play for someone, like a receiver. A receiver, maybe like Chris Godwin, or maybe one of those Packers receivers that maybe Romeo Dukes, depending on if he feels like he's reached his ceiling in Green Bay.
Yeah, I think that we touched on that last week, actually. We talked about their receivers room and said that obviously there's room for improvement there, but their quarterback did just win MVP with that current receiver room. So once again, maybe they're the team that beefs up their defense, or adds. Obviously the run game's fine, the O-line plays well. Receiver is the thing that makes the most sense, but they've got a system that works for their quarterback and for their offense. I don't think that they're a team that needs a ton to change to contend again, but obviously every extra piece helps, and receiver is the one that makes the most sense.
I think the Bills could use defense for sure, but like I said, maybe they don't invest in wide receivers at this point because Josh Allen.
Right. I mean, what were they? 2 quarterback sneaks away from getting to the Super Bowl? So yeah, they were right there. Yeah. So they were close, and I think they released Von Miller this morning, right? I thought I saw that somewhere.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, he wasn't really much of a
he didn't
much anything the last couple of years.
No, he's gotten old. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, like, you have to know that you created this monster, right? Like, you literally traded with the Chiefs so the Chiefs can get Patrick Mahomes. And now he has been the antithesis of your existence of, being able to get to the Super Bowl. So it's kind of heartbreaking. Yeah. So, let's wrap this show up with Super Bowl predictions. Way too early Super Bowl predictions. Obviously, no one's made any giant moves, and we can go around the horn, and it's a little fun. Let's see what we got and see what we're thinking.
Are we going both teams or just team to win it all?
You go both teams. Yeah, we go both teams, and then maybe between those two teams, who you think will win.
Okay. I got the Eagles repeating in the NFC. Oh. And then I think the Bills finally get over. Like I said, I'm with you. I think they make a move with the trade or something, get some more for Josh Allen, but I think they get over the hump finally beat the Chiefs. So I got Bills, Eagles. I'll roll with the Eagles, go back to back.
Oh, okay. Bills, Eagles.
Man, I don't want to see. I hate the back to backs. Obviously, I was cheering against the the Chiefs just because they'd already repeated. I'd say that, I would like to see someone new. Obviously, if I had to put my money on it, the Eagles are a fantastic contender to go back and do it. They're not really losing a lot. They're being very strategic with the teams, the players that they're losing as well. I think releasing Slay, something that we didn't talk about at all, was a strategic move to probably keep the pieces they see most valuable. Out of the other side, though, I think I see another team that isn't losing too much as well, that emulates the model the Eagles have, is going to be the Ravens. I think that they have a lot of consistent play, and they just keep falling short. And they're a team that obviously is pretty much year after year capable and just never really actualized that. As far as, back to the NFC, I would have to say that the Eagles go back, but I'm not going to pick it just because I don't want to copy too much. I think that a lot depends on what the Packers do. I think that if they add a piece of talent, they could be that team that sneaks into the wild card and then, kind of maybe not rightfully makes it all the way to the Super Bowl and then gets exposed by a team like the Ravens that plays good, consistent, strong football. And I think we could have a Ravens Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, man. Like I said, I like the Eagles to go back, but I was going to say the Ravens and the Packers to meet up, with the Ravens winning. So actually have a bet for that already. I took it on DraftKings. It's like plus 4,000 or something like that. So 40 times your money is not bad. So we'll see.
Okay. I got 2 picks. I think my pick last year was Chiefs and Commanders, the little homer pick for me. But I think that could be a reality of the Chiefs wanting to just kind of have that one final run, especially for Kelsey trying to be more hungrier to get back to be better. I think I want to see the Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson trajectory in terms of year 2 having an MVP season and a deep run. Would love to win the championship like Patrick Mahomes did his year 2 with the Chiefs. So I that's my homer pick is Chiefs and Commanders. But something tells me it's going to be Rams and the Chiefs. I think it's the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to get back to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And so I think Rams and Chiefs, I think makes a lot of sense. I think those are teams who are trying to going all in for this run for next year. And so if it's not my Commanders, I'm all in for the Rams making it to the Super Bowl.
Long odds bet to 40 times your money is if Kelsey stays in the league and does not retire this year. I think that there's a breakup with Taylor Swift and there's a Travis Kelce inspired song by the end of the season. I think that he might Tom Brady his way out of his relationship if he chooses football this year.
Right.
Man.
Maybe.
I think we all want to see that fairy tale ending after he wins the Super Bowl next year, gets on one knee in front of millions of people and proposes to Taylor Swift, and then it starts the reality show to, Taylor and Travis marriage. So that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
But all right, guys, that takes us to the end of the show from the sidelines. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can watch us on the Sports Fluent YouTube, Facebook, and X accounts. We hope you guys had a great time. We had a great time talking ball. All of these crazy trades and more coming next week once we have our show. But until next time, hope you have a great night, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Okay.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water. Don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.